Hello and welcome or welcome back to the Sovereign Sisters podcast. I'm the Sovereigness.
And Infinite C.
And this is part 2 to our masculine and feminine yin and yang discussion.
Yes.
So where we left off was we were talking about yin and yang and how the two coming together basically eliminated the chaos, created harmony, and out of that harmony was the first life, or it created a whole being. So where I was going with that is if we look at an analogy of man and woman, still not saying that only a woman is feminine and only a man is masculine, but if we look at it, if we humanize yin and yang, the energy of yin and yang, yin can be looked at as the woman because the woman provides the egg, and yang can be looked at as the masculine because yang provides the sperm that is going to fertilize the egg. So we have the two coming together creates the life force, right? Creates a harmony. But the interesting thing about that is that you get 23 and 23 chromosomes from each parent. So you still have that masculine and feminine energy coming from both sides. So there's still harmony within us. We all have the same, I mean, not all of us, but the majority of us have the same masculine and feminine properties. So tapping into just one side when you have the ability and maybe even a desire to tap into the other whenever and however you need to or feel you want to, is it can be sort of like a betrayal to yourself. Like you're leaving part of yourself out when you have the ability to either be or to do, basically. Like you can be or you can do.
Right.
So how do you feel about that?
I think that's a really good analogy. It makes sense too, because it's just like, I don't know if I said this in the last segment, but each of them separately is like encompassing of the other, but in a small part, right? Like it has some of the yin and the yang and some of the yang and the yin, but it's just a small part. And then it's like when you bring it together, it creates a fuller energy, or a fuller, I don't want to say fuller energy, but just like a fuller picture, I guess.
Exactly.
And it kind of coincides with what you were just saying. Like we all have the ability to have masculine and feminine energies, but if we're only tapping into one part of ourselves, then maybe we're not allowing ourselves to be that fuller picture. Right. So because we all have it, like you said, we all have the ability to tap in. We all have the ability to, we have those energies, some more than others. Right. But ultimately we all have it. So I think that's a really good analogy.
Yeah, but I wonder, like how we were saying, like some people have more than others. Are you talking about like as far as energy, or are you talking about like chromosomes?
Well, I think honestly both, because we have different chromosomes, right? Men and women have different chromosomes.
Right, but I'm saying like all of us, I don't want to say all of us, the majority of us have the 46 chromosomes. So what I was saying is there are some people who have extra, but
but some people have X and Y, right?
And
some people have X and X. So we all have chromosomes. We all have ultimately, most of us have the 46, but they're different, right?
Okay.
They're not the exact same. And I feel like the same thing applies to the amount of masculine and feminine energy we have. I don't think that that's split up based on your gender. I think that's split up based upon other things that go into play.
Right.
Like even if you look at your birth chart, it can break it down, like how many feminine aspects you have versus how many masculine aspects you have.
Right. And it's funny.
And that's just one aspect of it, because, and it's also nature versus nurture. Sometimes you have to play a more feminine role versus a more masculine role, or vice versa, depending on how you were nurtured. You know what I mean? So I feel like there's different aspects, there's different things that that speak to, or there's just different things that contribute to someone being feminine and or masculine.
Right. It's funny though, because well, when you were talking about the birth chart, I was just thinking like it's funny because there's so many people who don't know that their sign that they claim, or the signs that are, mostly dominant in their chart can be masculine or feminine. For example, I'm not going to say their name, but I have a male friend who is a Taurus, and he considers himself an alpha male. Like, he feels like he's very masculine. And knowing his chart, I'm like, you actually have quite a bit of feminine energy in your chart. But I think that he feels like he is, I mean, he might be an alpha male. Based off of my observation, I feel like he actually is more, like, he portrays more feminine traits than he likes to admit. And I think that it's because he has this idea of what it means to be feminine. He's somebody who can express himself emotionally, or at least with me, he's shown that he can. So I see the more feminine side of him, but I feel like he thinks he's being masculine, and I'm just like, that's not. It's just not. And then even looking at his chart, like I said, he has, I think, 8 feminine placements and two masculine, and then I don't know. So I just thought that was interesting. Cuddy, what are you doing in here? So I thought it was interesting that you brought that up, especially now, because we were talking about the transits that are taking place with the nodes, how it's we're currently in Taurus season, but the North Node and South Node are in Taurus and Scorpio. So they're home in those, they're home in those
Did Cuddy just bark?
Yes, they're home in their, like, those are the original nodal placements. So a lot of energy it's kind of like a heavy energy right now, which is probably why we're talking so much about yin and yang, or more about the feminine energy rising, because both are feminine energies. It's just that one is more light and the other is more shadowy or beneath the surface. So I don't think a lot of people know that Taurus is actually a feminine sign, which I don't understand, because it's ruled by Venus.
And it's represented by the bull. And I think that has a lot to do with, it's such a tricky spot when you start talking about astrology and like zodiac and stuff like that, because like you said, Venusian energy is very feminine.
Right.
It's extremely feminine, and it rules Taurus, where Taurus is represented by a bull.
But is it supposed to be a bull or a cow?
Which is the masculine version of a cow.
Right. That's what I'm like,
it's the masculine version of a cow.
But is it supposed to be a bull or a cow? Like, I feel like somebody around here dropped I don't know. Somebody dropped the ball.
I don't know. But I have no idea. But it's just interesting that it's represented by a bull. And I think it's represented by a bull because of, how they put the signs, like I don't know how they got the images that they got when they looked at the stars in the sky and like saw the lines and the way in which they connected, and was like, oh, that's an angel. Oh, that's a maiden. Like, how did that maiden out of the sky? I don't know how they got a bull, but they got a bull.
You know what?
I think it's because of the horns. I think it was the bull horns. I think
they should have went with an ox. Oxen can be man or male or female. It would have been a lot easier. But I see what you're saying. It is confusing, because, like you said, it's like it's ruled by Venus, which is extreme. Like, Venusian energy is so feminine, but then your symbol or your animal, totem is the bull. Right. So yeah, it's a little confusing.
Right. And even with Capricorn, like, Capricorn is ruled by Saturn, which is a masculine energy, but Capricorn itself is actually a feminine sign.
Is it? I thought it was masculine.
Because I thought it's feminine.
Really?
Yes. Which is odd, because it's ruled by Saturn, and it's work, right? Money, right? But also too, that's just one side of Capricorn, right? That's just the one side of Capricorn. The other side of Capricorn is actually very nurturing, almost like its sister sign Cancer. So
really,
I don't know. It's just interesting, and it's ruled by, and its sign is the goat, right? Or the mountain goat, I think. The sea goat. Which I don't know if that's really masculine or feminine, but I know that seahorses are actually like unisex creatures.
Right.
So it can be very confusing, and I don't want to confuse the listeners.
Right.
But it's all I'm saying this to say is that everything has masculine and feminine properties, zodiac signs, astrology, us, nature. It all has very masculine and very feminine qualities.
Right.
So to
We
just
all
put something in one box, or to put someone in one box and just say it's one way, is it's limiting of self, right? So like for your friend who's like, oh, I'm alpha male, it's just like, you could be alpha male, but you could be compensating too. You see what I'm saying? Like, I'm just saying, like, you could be, because you could be compensating because you have those feminine energies, and it's uncomfortable because society says it's not right for a man to have to tap into his feminine aspects.
Right.
Like, and so with that being said, it's just like, okay, well then I gotta charge up these masculine energies and compensate.
But see, that's why it's a good idea for, I feel, men and women, no matter how they identify, to connect with one another so that you build a safe space. Like, you should have somebody that you feel like you can open up to emotionally, or whatever the case may be. Because I feel like we talked about that in the last podcast too, where it's like the gender role of a man is supposed to be to provide and protect, and then they come home, they have nowhere to really release, right? They're still, or they're taking it out in a way that is like not really the best way for their partners or people that are in their surrounding, where it's like they don't have this this expression, this way to emotionally express themselves. So it causes them to have to kind of like it causes them to kind of like take on this negative, or not even negative, I don't want to use that word, but they kind of like harbor resentment, or so I don't know, like I just feel like it's a good idea for everybody to sort of like connect with people who are not like themselves, and then also just create like a safe, either friend group space.
Right. And I agree. I definitely agree with that. It just kind of sucks because it's like, okay, I know we live in this world, right, where there's like double standards and stuff like that. Where women can go to each other and we can express our emotions and our feelings, right? Because we're emotional creatures, right? Like according to society. And then, which is true, like women can be more in tune with their emotions, or feminine can be more in tune with their emotions, right? Whereas men, they don't really have that outlet. Like, there's a stigma for men to be in tune with their emotions, but it's messed up too. There's a double standard because women have, or feminines have a place to go, right? Typically. Whereas masculines, or men don't necessarily have that outlet, even with other men, because it's like, not only with women, not only, I feel like women are more open to those spaces, but I feel like it's important for men to create those spaces with men to show that it's okay for us as men to come together and have these conversations.
I will say I've seen that a lot more lately. One of my friends, if anybody wants to look him up, his name is Eddie Purpose. He's in charge of this group called Progress Pushers, where they have created a safe space where it's men talking to other men about their past and where they would like to see themselves, but also just opening up to one another about things that they may have done in the past that they didn't feel the best about doing, or they may have done something to appeal to people that are quote unquote masculine, which let me not judge, but I don't understand the concept of that. So I would encourage everybody to either look into either him, because I feel like what he's doing right now is amazing, or just, like you said, like come together with other people who either you identify with, where you guys can create a space. I feel like, though, it would be helpful to come together with people who are opposite of you, because I feel like at our basic human level, we should be empathetic to one another. So if you care about somebody and they tell you, this is my experience as somebody who feels like I operate in my feminine energy, a person who's masculine that's listening to this person who operates in their feminine energy would at least empathize. And I don't know, it just brings everybody back to this space of peace or harmony, or like, okay, maybe it's not so bad, or maybe I need to tap into that more so I can be a little more empathetic. Like, if you don't know that somebody is dealing with something because they're a quote unquote I don't want to say quote unquote, because they're a woman or because they are somebody who identifies as feminine, or they're just operating more in their feminine energy. Because honestly, sis, I feel like we have one of our brothers is very feminine, and he's at the same time he's very masculine, but he comes off as masculine, but really he's an emotional person. So I can't really say that it's just females who are in their feminine energy as much as I want to say like one of our brothers has a discussion with the other brother. One is very more in their, like, they're more in their masculine energy and the other's in their feminine energy. Those two talking to one another, they should be able to empathize. Like, I don't understand, like I haven't had that same experience, but I at least can, understand or bring myself to a space where I can make myself understand how you might be feeling right now, or why you feel the way you feel right now, or why that's important to you, or whatever the case may be. So yeah.
I think that topic though, I think that is going to create, I think that requires a person to actually care enough, like you said, empathy, right? But like, if you can't relate to somebody, it might be more difficult to have empathy for them, which isn't right. But I'm just saying, like, it's also too, like, if you haven't opened yourself up to being that way, or to seeing a man in that light, it might be, you might look at him a little weird.
Right? Like how?
Because it's real. Like, people do look at other people judgmentally, or they look at men. When you see a man and he's crying or he feels away, some people look at him and will be like, well, what the fuck? Like, you're a man. Like, you're not supposed to cry. Like, get up.
So crazy. Like nothing is supposed to make a man sad.
I'm not saying everything, but I'm not saying everyone or with every situation. I'm saying that it's important for us, like you said, empathy. And like I said in the last podcast, is for us to look at each other as human first. Yeah. Before anything else, before our genders and everything, because we all are emotional beings. We all are. Right. Every single one of us. Now, and if we choose not to be, there's probably some trauma behind that. To be honest, a lot of the times when we've decided to cut our emotions off is because something traumatic has happened where we feel like, I don't want to access that and I don't want to feel like that anymore. Like, to be completely honest. So that it just requires a lot of self reflection. Just a matter of looking at yourself and being like, you know what? As far as being able to communicate with somebody else who is going through something from like a male perspective, and obviously I can't speak on men, but I would just ask that men have a little bit more empathy towards each other as well. Yeah. Like, instead of being like, oh, he's a man, he needs to just suck it up, and like, no, he's a human being who has emotions and he's absolutely valid in those things. Which is crazy. Now, when you and they said, well, your emotions shouldn't rule you. Your emotions shouldn't rule anything, a woman or a man. Right. If your emotions are ruling you as a human being, you're out of whack. But you need to feel them. You still need to feel them, acknowledge them. If you're letting them rule you, then you're not centering yourself. You're not using them as antennas or markers for how to navigate. You're using them as a sense of control. And they're not supposed to control you as a woman or a man. Or anybody else. Like, it's not supposed to control you, and you're not supposed to let them control anybody else. Because I've seen people manipulate people based off of their own emotions. Like, I'm feeling this way. Let me just go ahead and use it to my advantage. So, right. Emotions are more powerful than people give them credit for. And I think that if somebody is judging somebody for crying or having a breakdown, I would suggest that they take a look at themselves and why they feel like they can judge somebody for that when they're most likely harboring something inside that makes them want to break down and cry. Or whether it's because tears are not just because you're sad about something or mad about something, they can be happy tears. That's an emotion too. So yeah, I don't know why. I don't understand but I'm not supposed to. Like, that's not my journey. I don't understand I don't know, I guess the stigma behind men crying or anybody crying, because I've seen people look at women for crying, like Black women for crying, or really just women in general. Like, what are you crying for? Get up and keep moving. Like, damn, can I take a minute to like honor my energy right now? I need, and crying is a way of releasing. I don't want to hold it in.
I don't want to have to keep this on my shoulders or even just like hold it inside. I want to let it out.
Right. Right. And that, like you said, like even for mostly a lot of Black women,
Yeah.
because we know white women tears get all the attention. Let's not
Yeah,
act
it's
like
true.
that's not true. Black women, the strong women of this world, quote unquote, we're supposed to do that. But that's also because we're associated with masculine aggressive energy.
Yeah. But is that
So,
because we once ruled the earth? Let me not go down that lane, but we're going to talk
Lord
about it one day.
child.
We're going to talk about it one day.
I don't know if that's it, or if it's more so that we had to,
That's
or
true.
it could be that, or it could be just us being our natural selves, having the ability to be masculine and feminine and interchange those energies as we so choose and as we so please, because we have the ability to do so very eloquently, may I add. It could be that, or it could be a bit of programming, you know what I'm saying, to where it's like, oh, you have to be the man and woman of this household because of a specific situation with the alphabet boys who wanted to dismantle
Black homes.
our homes. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Or it could be a little bit of both. I'm not trying to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm just saying it could be a few different things. It could be just our innate way, but it also could just be it could be that the nature versus nurture aspect. And I'm not going to put that on all Black women, because some Black women are soft and delicate
Yeah.
and completely feminine and don't want to play those masculine roles.
Right.
So that could be it too. I'm not going to marginalize us and say that it's one thing, but I know that we have the ability to access that if we want to.
Right.
I was going somewhere with that and I feel like I lost it.
We were
I
talking
was
about,
going to make a point.
well, we were talking about tears. Like you talking about, I'm not going down that rabbit hole. I'm like, we gonna go one day.
I'm just like, I just want to keep it so that we stay, y'all. I'm gonna just be real with y'all. What'd you say? Today's the day of Mercury. Like
Yeah,
Mercury's in retrograde right now, and
it's
we're
so
already,
that is so
and we're
crazy. There's
right.
A lot of feminine energy happening in the universe right now. Like it's not just the topic of like, and I don't want to leave the masculine energy behind, but I feel like the masculine energy has been in the light for so long. And like you said at the beginning of our last episode, like it's a little more apparent, like it's showing up more in different ways. Mercury, a feminine planet, has gone retrograde. The north and south nodes are in Taurus and Scorpio, which is where they're home. They're both feminine, feminine energy. One is just more, earthy. The other is a little more underworld, but it's just a lot happening. Like the energy right now is just crazy. There's a retrograde happening where it's like a review process. And we're talking about feminine energy and how it's okay to tap into it. It just like at this point, just acknowledge that you have it. Let it come up. Let it have a little bit of fun too.
Right. Exactly. And as a divine being, as a sovereign being, as sovereign sisters, as the sovereign people that we are, we should be able to navigate this world exactly as we choose. Exactly. And to challenge ourselves to do so without restriction or regard to what so and so said or what we've been taught. You know what I'm saying? Just based on indoctrination or whatever. Like, navigate this space how you choose to. If you decide that, you know what, I've tried the feminine, I've tried the masculine, and I want to be masculine or I want to be feminine, then so be it. But just know that you have the ability to access those spaces if you choose to, if you want to.
Right. So sorry, go ahead, sis.
No, go ahead.
So what I was gonna say is basically what I'm picking up from what you're putting down is you don't always have to go. Like, I feel like there's some people who don't know how to just relax and rest or wait for things to show up for them or to let others show up for them. Like there's some people that I feel like they constantly have to do. And I feel like that's living a little too much in the masculine energy. And it might be uncomfortable to like not do something or jump on something or execute something instead of like fine tuning it or taking time to like really ask yourself if this is something that you want to do versus just jumping into something. So if you're somebody who is constantly go, 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 maybe try to stop for a minute. Maybe try to relax into your body and take in the present moment. Maybe don't look forward to, or don't think so far ahead. Like there's a lot of magical energy that just happens when you allow yourself to be present and
Present.
yeah,
Yes.
present, and then not really I don't want to say forcing, but like feeling like you constantly have to be moving around or doing something. You can actually recharge and refill, and it might not feel right. Like as somebody who is constantly going, I think you and I both says like we used to constantly be doing something or going or whatever. And so it can be uncomfortable. It can be uncomfortable to tap into that energy of I'm tired, or even just I need to just sit down. It's uncomfortable because you're not used to it. And then you start to feel bad. You guilt yourself into feeling like I need to be doing something. I should be doing something right now. Don't let yourself have a moment. And that's how you rebalance too. Like you've been going for so long. Maybe you do need a vacation. Maybe you do need to sleep in. Maybe you do need to eat the comfort food and, like maybe relax a little bit, that to me is feminine energy, is just like the relaxation and knowing that everything that you need will be provided for you, or is going to show up, or you've done all the work that you need to do for it to now, bloom and blossom, for you to harvest it, or whatever the case may be. It's not a rat race. I feel like I say this a lot. It's not a rat race.
It's not.
No matter how much society wants us to believe it is, it's not a rat race. It is literally a marathon. Yeah.
I was literally about to say that, like doing that and feeling that way is definitely the pressures of society and playing into the patriarchy, playing into the role of that has created this toxic relationship that we have with masculine or feminine energy.
Yeah.
It's played a role in that, for everyone to just be hustle, 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 go, 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 now, do, just do it. Don't get me wrong. That definitely has a place. But when that's not balanced out with just be present, you don't have to do anything and you can just be everything.
Yeah.
That energy is just as important. It's not talked about nearly as much. It's not given the same energy and the same effort because it is more of a feminine aspect.
Right.
Or it is a feminine aspect. And I think it's just important for us to remember that importance as well, because we can get very lost in the sauce out here, just going full gusto, and we losing ourselves because we're not tapping in with self. We're just doing. We're just and it's important, don't get me wrong, but it's also important to tap into that other aspect as well, so that before you lose yourself too much.
And if you feel like you have to be doing something, even when there's nothing to be done, maybe just show gratitude. Like just be in a space of, let me meditate, or if you're not somebody who meditates, let me pray, or let me go for a walk. That's still doing something, but it's also just not really playing into the whole rat race of life. It's just taking life one step at a time, because I genuinely believe that we're all in a marathon. Like I honestly believe that we're like wherever the finish line is for all of us, we should be moving at our own pace, not allowing anybody to tell us that you have to hurry up and get something done, or hurry up. I mean, maybe if you have deadlines for like work and stuff, but like, I don't want to get nobody in trouble with that, but like, you don't have to, there's no age limit on when you can buy a house. There's no age limit on when you can take a course for the dream job. There's no, you know what I mean? Like some people are looking at life like, I'm 30, I should be married with kids by now. It's like, that is still very young. That is still very young. And I feel like a lot of people are looking at it like I have to have the kids because my body is going to do X, Y, and Z. And it's like, it's going to be what it's going to be. And there's so many other ways to acquire the things that we want now. Don't put the strain and stress of certain things that society tells us that we have to have, especially in America. You have to have this by this age and this by this age. Don't put that stress on yourself, especially if it just doesn't fit into your life right now. Like what good is that going to do for you, the child, like what is it going to do for your bank account if you're not in a place to buy a house? You know what I mean? Like just really be at peace with where you are, and don't worry about where everybody else is, because it's not a race. I don't
It's
even know how
not.
we got on this topic, but
Talking about
yeah,
feminine and masculine energy and how it plays itself out in our lives. And that's how.
that
And
brings
you
you
were
back to
talking about how it's important,
go ahead.
excuse me, important to tap back into that feminine energy, and how society isn't necessarily allowing that, or we don't allow ourselves to do that because of society and us coming here and doing all the time. And we're just, speaking on how important it is to remember that it's okay to be a man or a woman or a man, and tap into your feminine energy and not just do so much and just be so much.
Yeah.
Okay?
I honestly believe that is why we went through the whole pandemic situation, because everybody is so indoctrinated to just be going. And then it's like, here's a test. What you gonna do now that you can't go? And some people were kind of just like, I'm still gonna go. It's like, are you okay now? Or did something happen in the process of you doing something when you weren't supposed to be doing it? I wonder. I know a lot of people that either, and at first I didn't know anybody that caught the vid. But yeah, but then it's like, as time went on, I don't know if people were getting cabin fever or what, but people started having these get-togethers and whatever. And it's like, so you really are uncomfortable with just sitting in peace and not having to be out and about and doing or moving. You really can't just be still. You really can't, even though nature, I mean, I don't know if it was nature for real, but even though as a collective body, the globe was shut down, and still people were like, but I can't do it. It was too scary for them to be at home with their partners. It was too scary for them to be at home alone. It was too much, like they had to just keep doing what they were doing. So, and unfortunately, we lost people because of that. Or there's some people who are still affected by the long-term effects of not being able to sit still, or whatever the case may be. I don't know what the actual situation was, but I know that was definitely a call to be at peace or be still and not feel like you have to don't force yourself to go to work. Don't worry about these bills. And that's a whole other topic. We're gonna have to get there, because how were we able to shut down the world and everything was still operating, but they still want us to be in this rat race of paying bills and everything else. But we went almost 2 years without having, anyways.
Not you going on a tangent, not you.
Because I do not get it. I'm like, y'all are not I'm not going in a grave because of this fucking Matrix. I'm just not doing it. If I go, it's gonna be on my own time because I was eating too many donuts or something.
Oh, Lord.
Not because y'all are telling me I have to pay the student loan that I already forgave my damn self.
He said, my great granddaddy paid this loan.
Exactly.
We paid it. It's
paid in full. It's paid in full times 50 at this point.
That part.
So I think we should end it here. What do you think?
I think so. I think on that note, we've discussed a good amount of I won't say topics. I feel like we've discussed a lot about how feminine and masculine energy kind of affect us on a day-to-day basis, and like just how important it is to honor all of it, right? And honor all of it, guys. Like honor all of it. Tap into it. Tap into the part of you that you're not comfortable with. Just try to be a little bit more feminine. And we're going to talk about feminine now, because I feel like the universe is begging us.
Right. At this point,
more feminine. So
yeah, at this point, the universe is tired. The universe is like, how long are we gonna do this?
Right.
I've been here the whole time.
Right.
Come into the unknown.
Right. just go hug your mama, hug your sister, go hug your aunties, go give them love. Right. Mother's Day just passed. Let's just stay in that energy a little bit for a little while longer. Show Mother Earth some love. Okay. Show your divine feminine some love. Treat yourself to something. Have a self-care day. Just tap into it, and
don't be afraid of it.
Out as it needs to.
Yeah, don't fear it.
Don't fear it.
I was about to say peace, but I just have to throw this out there because it's on my head. If you are somebody who has seen, Frozen 2, then you already know Into the Unknown. Literally, she was afraid. she went and she found herself, a part of herself that she kept denying. So if you haven't seen it, if you're an animation cartoon fan, I highly recommend.
Everybody that got kids and seen Frozen.
2?
Oh, I don't know about Frozen. You right.
You right. Have you seen Frozen 2?
No, but I seen Frozen 1.
I'm gonna need you to see Frozen 2, sis.
Okay.
Okay. No, I'm being serious.
Okay. I'm gonna watch Frozen 2.
I'm gonna check on you. We're gonna watch it together. How about that?
I like that.
Okay. All right. Well, on that note, thank you so much for listening or what. Well, you can't really see us. Thank you so much for tuning in. And we'll catch you on the next one.
Peace and chaos, y'all.